5, 4. And now, the most trusted name in radio, serving the Treasure Coast for over 30 years, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the airwaves.
Hey, how you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Great to have you here. One of my friends is on today, Rick Breitweiser, and he's the author of Addiction Logic, and that book is available everywhere where books are sold, Addiction Logic. And we become friends over the past few years. He was addicted to alcohol, right? And
Well, yeah, mainly another substance, but alcohol was always, was always part of the party.
yeah. Well, they call it a gateway drug, right?
Could be, yeah. For me, it was. Yes, Rhett.
Yeah. Well, great to have you on here today, and we're hopeful that somebody will hear this, either who has a problem with addiction, or had a problem with addiction, or knows somebody who has a problem with an addiction. And of course, you can always go back to the podcast to re-listen to this at your leisure. Now, you want to pick up his book again. The name of the book is Addiction Logic, and there it is right there. Okay, and we're putting that up on the screen momentarily. He's holding it up for us. And anyway, so it's good to have you back on here. What's going on? What do you want to talk about today?
Well, you know what? There's a couple things in the news. Ace Frehley had died yesterday.
Yeah,
Okay,
yep.
guitar player for Kiss, right?
Yep.
Who also had problems with alcoholism through his whole life. I think he cleaned up his act, at some point, but
His sponsor lives in town here. He's a friend of mine. So,
good,
yeah.
good. Well, yeah, see, his agent and my agent, Chaos Productions in New York City on 19th Street, back, oh God, it must be 25 years now. We had the same agent, publicist, and, so he, I met him, and I didn't know him, well, but I got the chance to meet him just through having the same publicist and, being introduced that way. But yeah, he had his problem with alcohol. I guess how fame takes us to a different place. And what happened with him is, by the time the album Love Gun came along after '78, that was his last album. They basically they kicked him out of the band because he was no longer productive. He was no longer progressing with his skills. He was just, and he was missing a lot of stuff. And I'm not going to talk so much about Ace Frehley because I don't know how much time I have here, but I can tell you what what substances do to you. They override your everyday existence. Everything that you would do on a daily basis. The power of your drug of choice is just so powerful that everything takes a back seat. And in his case, the album Destroyer, Kiss Destroyer, my favorite album. I was a Kiss fan when I was a kid. I used to paint my brother like one of the guys in Kiss, and I used to bring around the neighborhood, and I'd say, "This is Peter Criss," and they said, "He's a little short. He's only 4 foot tall." Well, I think he was 5 years old, but I used to lay him on the bed and paint him and walk around, and I guess that was the start of what I thought would be a career in show business. But anyway, Rhett, so the thing is that, the big album, Destroyer, that was such a great album. And by that time, he had already had a big problem with alcohol, and he wasn't making it to the sessions. They hired Dick Wagner, and they hired a couple. They hired Steve Hunter. So if you listen to Sweet Pain on Destroyer album, that's not Ace Frehley. He couldn't make it. They had to hire a substitute, a sit-in guitar player to play guitar because he couldn't make the show. The studio even. But anyway, enough about Ace Frehley. But I want to say to the people out there, and thank you to everybody who's tuning in, who I know and don't know yet. But I celebrated 8 years of being clean and sober on Sunday past, which is big for me.
Oh, that is huge. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I am proud of that because, I belong to a 12-step program, and they give you medallions and chips and markers for your time of sobriety, and they give you one to start. And I still have my original one. I've never see they call it a surrender chip. I call it a commitment chip. And being the person that I am, I consider myself a winner. I don't like to lose at anything. So God, I could never let down anybody, as myself, God, and my friends, and let them down by ever slipping up. I made that choice to live a new life, a new way of living. So that's 8 years for me, and I have tomorrow in sight.
Well, I tell you what, 8 years in, when did you decide to start writing?
Oh, okay. Well, that's a good question. I never saw that coming. At this stage, at this age, I am 64 now, Rhett, and I started writing only, I guess, about 5 years ago. I did make notes. I mean, everybody has a book and a song and a poem and a story and something to share if they want to. I've said that many times. Is that everybody has something like that in their head, and girls they have a diary going, and they don't know, they just like to put it down. Well, you know what? I started putting things down, I guess, in my active addiction. And I talked about this, I joked about it. I don't want to overuse it here. But, one day I came home after having such an unbelievable life, and after everybody telling me so, they said, you should write a book. And then, you know what? This is going to be a repeat. So, but anyway, I pulled a sheet of paper out of my copier tray in my office, in my home office, and I started writing. And the words just poured out. And I just started like, why am I here? What am I doing here? Why are we all here? I mean, what's my purpose? Was I created? Was I delivered? I don't know if I just parachuted in or I sprouted up. I don't know how I got here. And so that's the direction of that book. And that was my first book, by the way. And I know that we're here to talk about my addiction logic, but my first book, I didn't ask to be me. That book, and I can't
Oh,
control this
yeah, I
camera.
didn't ask to
That
be me.
yeah,
That's
yeah. So
that's
that
a
book was
that's a
really,
wild title for a book.
yeah. Well, you know what? Rhett, did you ever ask yourself, why am I who I am? Did you? I mean, we all
Yeah.
have to sit and wonder, why do I have blue eyes? Why am I so energized? Why am I don't know, I mean, you could insert anything you want, but there's questions to be answered on our existence,
Hey,
right?
hold on just a second.
So,
Doolin, could I have a couple of waters, please? Okay, thank you. I tend to get now that see, you're 64. Well, I'll be 72 in 2 or 3 weeks on the
oh, great.
21st November. So I get a dry mouth a lot. So I just wanted to forgive me my interruption. But I'm now at Addiction Logic though. You kind of take this whole thing to a different level. Now I know you attend a lot of AA meetings.
Mhm.
I guess we're supposed to call them 12-step meetings,
That's
and
correct.
and those 12 steps have saved a lot of lives. Where would you say your book? Why should someone who's recovering or knows someone why should they get your book for either the person they know who's in recovery or should be in recovery, as opposed to the other books?
I get that question all the time because everybody wonders, how could I have a different perspective and a different angle? How could I have the big book of let's just say a 12-step program. Yeah, I'm careful not to break anonymity here, but 12-step program, let's say they have a textbook that they've been using for under 90 years, let's say. I'm dropping a lot of innuendo here, but the thing is that their textbook that they followed, I think it is a fantastic foundation and a good starting point for anybody that's new in recovery of substance abuse. But you know what? There's 180 of those programs, by the way. And I said to myself, listen, you know what? A lot of these addictions, a lot of these compulsions, and a lot of these obsessions that people have, they're all shared. There's an open fence for them to cross over. So the person that has a problem with gambling has the same damn problem I have with my drug of choice or alcohol. And I said, let me address that. Let me find out why the person who has a problem with shopping, or the person has a problem with sugar or chocolate or coffee or smoking, why do they share the same struggles that the person with an alcoholic mind or a substance abuse problem? Why do they have the same thing? Yes.
Well, I want to ask you selfishly a question. So I just came back, as you know, from spending my summer up in Vermont, 3.5 months. And honestly, I kind of fell into a little depression this week because I'm from there. I mean, I'm back from there. Had a great summer. Now I'm back hitting the road to where this represents work, hard work, and also kind of like, well, whatever. I went, it's struggle. I don't think wherever you go on a long vacation, you get back, it's hard. So I sat down the other night and I wouldn't tell my wife this, but like I ate. There's a half a gallon. How many quarts are in a half a gallon? Two,
Uh,
I think.
there's four quarts in a gallon, so two would be a
So
half,
two.
sure.
So I ate half of the half gallon. I couldn't stop.
Okay.
It was an addictive response because every time the ice cream hit my tongue. It also happened when she had cancer, and it was a very dark time. I would sit there, I'd put the ice cream in my mouth, I go, I'm sorry, Lord, I know it's wrong, but I can't help it. And then I'd put more ice cream on my tongue. Why is it? What's going on? Like the whole world, like it's almost like, you go home and if you have a dog and the dog is kissing your face and everything, the whole world disappears. And when I'm eating ice cream, all the troubles of the world seem to disappear. And it's the same thing, right, that alcohol used to do for me, because I'm 15 years in. And so I thought since you took the time to write this, Addiction Logic, you might be able to explain that to me. Why when I start, can I not stop with the ice cream now?
Okay, that is fabulous because that is really a driving force behind my desire to write the books that I write. Whatever they're about, it's about it's about what drives us, right? What makes us act the way we do.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that you said that because I include in one of my books, I think it might have been my second book, which here's a plug, right? Is called Sales and Selling Yourself. That book.
Yeah, move that over a little this way so we can. Yeah, I want no. Move it.
Yeah, I don't know how to
put
work.
it. Put it in front of your face.
Get
Look
it?
at that. Sales
You
and
know what
selling.
I'll,
That's
you
an
know what I'll get
important
that?
book though, because corporations will have you come in and speak on that.
I've spoke publicly on sales and business also, but the thing is, I've written, and I think it might because I lose track of what book I wrote what in. I'm getting to that age now, Rhett. But you know what it is
Wait till you hit 10 years from now.
no, but you know what it is about the ice cream because you know what I met one person in my lifetime that didn't like pizza. I can't unless you have a problem with dairy. I don't know anybody that doesn't like good ice cream. And I'm going to do a plug for this because I can't find it anywhere. If you've ever had Magnum ice cream, you will search the world over to find Magnum again on the shelves. And don't buy the
I had one of the ice cream bars.
no, don't buy the bars.
No.
You know why? Because the pints. No, how the pints are how they're designed is that the pint is filled up with shell of chocolate. They line the whole interior with chocolate. Then they pour in the ice cream. Then they put on about another half inch of chocolate on top.
Excuse me, I have to break off from this interview. I got to go to the grocery store.
Yeah, I know. Well, you know what? I'm going to take a walk to the freezer. But you know what? There's a dimple on the container. The dimple says, "Sit on the counter, wait a minute and a half, squeeze the dimple to crack the ice, chocolate, so you can access the ice cream." Magnum ice cream is the best.
The only ice cream that comes with instructions.
Oh my God! And Rhett, do you really think you need instructions to eat ice cream? But you know what I wrote in my book? No, but what I wrote in my book is I said anytime the only good that ice cream does for me, the only exercise, the only calories I burn is the amount of trips I make to the kitchen to get another. Because you know what? We take some. I say, okay, that's enough. I eat right out of the container. That's enough. Put the lid on, push it back in, and then I sit on the couch and I go back to the kitchen 5 times. I may have burned 10 calories tonight, but but I didn't break even because I ate 400 calories worth of ice cream. So it's funny. To go back to your question is your taste buds are satisfied. Your taste buds are satisfied by the taste of the ice cream. See, with addiction, I had told somebody said, listen, I am allergic to strawberries. I'm allergic to raw nuts. How How come I can stop eating strawberries and raw nuts when I can't stop doing my drug of choice or drinking? And you know what I told him? I said, you don't get high on strawberries. You don't get a serotonin release. You don't get a dopamine release. You don't get a, all the chemical flow in your reward pathway in your brain says, you know what, give me more.
Hold on. Now, the most lethal addiction, according to what I've read, is gambling. The more suicides because of gambling addiction. And they say it's not when you win or lose, it's at the point where you have the hope that they're addicted to, that releases what you were just talking about when they have the hope they might win. It's not the winning or the losing, it's the hope.
My book, when it first came out in May, it was number eight in the country because it included gambling.
Congratulations.
And the reason, and there's a story in there with Whitey Bulger in there. There's 25 stories in this book, by the way.
Whitey Bulger?
I didn't get to interview him because they wouldn't let me in the prison. But, but Whitey Bulger, I interviewed somebody that ran the numbers for Whitey Bulger for my book.
Are you a Bostonian?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a Bostonian.
Oh, no. The guy I interviewed is from Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Whitey Bulger, he worked for Whitey Bulger. He worked for Whitey Bulger running the numbers as a kid for Whitey Bulger. And that's a story in my book. And what the thing with addiction, with the gambling addiction, when it reaches the point of the addiction of gambling, you have a real problem. And I can understand how the suicidal factor comes in because you get adrenaline whether you're winning or losing. You don't get that adrenaline with everything in life. The thing is that you get excited. The adrenaline flows like crazy when you're losing because you want to get it back. And then when you're winning, you can't help yourself but being like really charged and energized. Hey, I'm winning. You know what I mean? I'm on a roll. I'm on a winning streak here. You're on a losing streak. You have the same push and the same adrenaline saying, I got to win it back. I got to win it back. I got to until it gets you. And that's a mental addiction, by the way. That is not a substance addiction like alcohol and substances like illegal and illicit drugs also. But that's one of the ones that are considered a mental addiction. And by the way, every addiction that you could possibly have starts out as a mental addiction because your brain is your COO.
You know Jack in the Box?
The restaurant?
Yeah.
Or the toy?
No, the Jack in the Box, the restaurant.
Yeah.
So when I was So when I was first, kid, we go over to New Paltz, New York, when I was only like 16 or 17, but I was tall, so I got into the bars. But anyway, I remember we drink, you get a little high, you go to Jack in the Box. Well, anyway, the founder of that died, and his wife inherited over $1 billion. This is a couple of years ago. She gambled away $1 billion in 1 year.
Not surprising. And Rhett, if you have an addiction and it's out of hand, you'll lose everything, whether it's money, whether it's family, whether it's job, whether it's, it doesn't matter what it is.
Doesn't make any sense. Because, $1 billion, if you're making 10%, gets you $100 million a year. If you're only making 5%, which is hard not to, you're making $50 million a year. That's $1 million a week almost, $900,000 a week. That's coming in. Why would you gamble? Makes no sense.
You know why? It's exciting and satisfying for the addicted one. I was well off at a couple times in my life, a few different times, and I don't want to get into.
You sold the business for millions and millions and millions. I mean, more than people can ever dream about, right?
Well, the business today, which my brother owns, he took over when I really had enough, and you know why I had enough? Because I wanted to live the life of partying and doing my drug of choice. That's when I had enough. I think a lot of people helped me decide that, Rick, maybe you had enough. I sold it.
Oh, boy.
And it's a $1 billion company today. It's the largest in the Gulfstream jet parts business in the world. And my brother, I am so proud of him. And everybody's proud of him. Everybody knows, how successful he has become. But it doesn't really matter, Rhett. It doesn't. You're gonna lose everything you have if your addiction is not managed. And by the way, if you have an addiction, you know what? If you have a disease of addiction, like a substance abuse problem, whether it be alcohol or substances, you're gonna live with that forever. you're going to learn to manage it. That's the whole key. It's that it doesn't go away. My alcoholism doesn't go away, but I find diversions. I find solutions to not and I don't even think about it. It takes time. But I tell people, and I've been really advocating this slogan that I heard somewhere, but I've been saying it, so I think I'm probably going to get credit for it in the end. But it's I no longer think about drinking, and I no longer think about not drinking. That's how far I've come. I don't see all the billboard signs on the highway, Rhett. I drive down the road because I know where I'm going. That's pretty good, right? I just whipped it out. I just pulled that out of my butt. But
Say it
anyway,
again. Say it again.
that's what happens when you're a writer. You just your mind is always going,
Say it
right?
again.
Yeah.
Say it again. No, say what you just said
Oh,
again.
oh. The thing about drinking and not drinking. Yeah, the thing about drinking and not drinking is that I no longer think about drinking and I no longer think about not drinking. I know I don't have to think about not drinking anymore. It just comes naturally that I live my life of sanity now. It's not even part of the equation.
Now,
You can take that.
I don't have I don't have a desire to drink anymore. Now, sometimes if I'm having a particularly bad day, I'll think I need something. I need something. I need something. I don't even care if it's 4 Advil. I need something, and I go, no, you don't want to take Advil addictively. So I'll wait, and usually it'll pass. Well, it does pass. So it's not a sin to think about your addiction, as long as you just don't take the first drink. Because once you take the first drink, you've handed the keys over to the gorilla.
Oh, totally. Totally. It's not like they say, it's not the first drink that kills you. It's not the caboose that kills you. I mean, it's not the engine that kills you. It's the 10 drinks afterward that kill you, the caboose. That's what we hear in the program. But, the thing is that people that have addictions, when you enter a program like I did 8 years ago, right? I entered this program 8 years ago and I became a good student. I listen well. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from you. I want to hear from Doolin. I want to hear from everybody who can help me. Anybody that can help me with life and addiction separately, life and my addiction. That's the people I want to listen to clearly. That's the ones I get the most. I have been saying this for the last 2 weeks, is that I'm a knowledge junkie. I'm a knowledge junkie. I can't get enough knowledge. I mean, you know what? And that's a little bit out of balance because because my mind is going. I'm listening to you and I'm listening to you, but I can't. Sometimes I got too many balls in the air. But the thing is like every day that I hear something new, oh my God, that's it. I'm satisfied. My day is. I've fulfilled my day with something new that I didn't know yesterday.
Now, you attend a lot of 12-step meetings, yet you're in 8 years. And
Yeah.
Many times you and I have talked on the phone and said, oh, I'm on my way to a meeting, or I'm coming home
Yeah.
from a meeting. And I know when I was first involved, I went to about 3 meetings every day for the first 5 years. So a friend of mine's been in for 50 years. His father was in before him. And they say his father would come into a room and he would take his cane and slap it down on the table. And he would say, this is not a program first. It is a fellowship first. Well, of course, me being of a male nature, women are more into relationships, men are into things. I had to chew on that for a few months. What does he mean it's a fellowship above a program? And I finally got it. It is a fellowship. Like by you and I talking today, you might not know how much you're helping me, or somebody else who's joined this conversation, who is secretly listening, watching, whether they're in their car, their home, or they've gone it could be a year later after if it goes into the podcast, which is a on-demand library, audio library. They're listening to this and they're getting help because we're discussing candidly, openly, and have come to a center of honesty. Now, before I had this experience late in life, I didn't drink till I was 50. It took 2 incidences that got me drinking, and it's like, I would never tell you if you hurt my feelings. I would never, as a guy. I'm macho man, cool dude. And it's very freeing to be able to go, what you just said hurt my feelings. And most of the time, I go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't mean it that way, or I apologize. People, if you're honest with people, and it gets that all, otherwise you could carry that anger on your shoulders, which could lead you to drink or some addiction. Whereas if you come forward, if people just be honest, and it takes the wind out of the sails, just like you do something wrong with your car, and you got this guy yelling at you. Now he's throwing a ball at you. You throw the ball back, your anger ball. No, I'm not going to throw the ball back. I'm sorry, sir. You're right. I was wrong. I went through that red light and I scared you. I'm sorry, or whatever the situation is, And that honesty, now it's off my shoulders, and he'll kind of go, well, yeah, don't do that again, but okay, People are quick to forgive if we're willing to step up, but our pride destroys us often. Don't you agree?
Yeah, the program that the 12-step program I'm in, and yes, I do a lot of meetings. I've been going to meetings for 7.5 years. I was clean 6 months on my own before I ever arrived
that's amazing.
Yeah. So but for 7.5 years, I've gone to over 4,000 meetings, which and listen, I love I love things that I get into, but I also become prideful of my accomplishments, and I think that to go to as many meetings as I do sets a good example that that the program works if you're in the middle of it.
Meeting makers make it.
Yeah, right. And you talk about fellowship. Let me tell you, Rhett, I went to college to become a dentist, and all the medical books I read and all the science and all that stuff that I read, you take the book home, you read the book, you close the book, you're not a dentist. Okay? You take the 12-step meeting book, you read the book, 164 pages are where it counts, they say. I've read that book a bunch of times. I even bought it on audio, so during my walks I could listen to it too. So I've listened to it a lot myself. And you know what? It does not make me recovered from alcoholism. What it does, it allows everybody, the fellowship, all the people in the program to, if we're all reading it, everybody has a little bit of a twist on, a little perspective, a little thing, the way it affects them. And so when you tell me what your take is on something, I could say, hey, you know what? I never thought of it that way, So, we work together. We're here on earth to collaborate. So I collaborate with all the people in the meetings I go to. I went to 4 yesterday, and my last meeting was at 10:30, and I had an hour drive to get home. I didn't get home till 12 o'clock last night. Um, Maybe that sounds crazy to some people, but one, I like to be around people, and two, like I said, I am a knowledge junkie. I probably needed one more thing. You know what I mean? It's almost like I got an illness for that, but I think that's a better choice than some of the other things that I could wind up getting too involved in myself. So
again,
anyway,
if somebody's just tuning in,
yeah.
why do they want to buy your book, Addiction? But first of all, where can they get your book, Addiction Logic?
Well, you know what it is. It's on Amazon, and it will be. I have a new website that was created last week, but I am putting I have somebody else that is actually getting everything together so they can buy my book on audio and ebook and everything at my own website, which is behind me. I don't know where I'm pointing here, but
Yeah, it's
that's
up on
not
the screen.
surprising. I'm not surprising that I'm confused. But rickbright.com, within probably a week, people will be able to buy it there. But for now, it's on Amazon. It's only gotten 5-star reviews. Every single sale that has been made has been a 5-star review, and there's been hundreds of them. And that book, okay, so that's where you get it to answer your first question. And the second question, I did start to touch on why the other program was a good foundation and a good head start. But my book gets into the logical side. People don't look at the logic of things. You have to use common sense. I mean, you can open up a box of something. Like I bought this handheld recorder that I could keep in my car and record while I'm driving. And I can't even tell you how many times I had to look at those instructions. But you know what? If I went onto YouTube, or I asked somebody that owns one of them and say, how do you work this thing? I'll know how to work that thing like a pro in 5 minutes. But otherwise, I got to read the papers, flip the thing that's written in 20 languages on this accordion fold out thing. And then in the end, I may not have even gotten it. But my book is basically on how you would think logically to handle something. I talked about this once before, if you would permit me. I talked about this once before about the person that was overweight and very upset with themselves. They were depressed about their weight.
Mm.
So what happens is they look in the mirror and they say, "Boy, you know what? I'm heavy. I'm not really happy. I'm really I'm depressed." So what they do is they're depressed. So now they go to a doctor and they said, "Listen, I'm really depressed. What do you have for depression?" The doctor gives them an antidepressant that deals with depressing, being depressed, and with anxiety. Okay, and you know what the number one side effect is for that drug that person was?
Suicide.
Well, it's actually increased appetite. But suicide is in the long list. They list everything. You'll have diarrhea. You'll have blurred vision. I mean, you name it, it's on there. They got to. These are big pharma.
Well,
They have
I
to.
took Wellbutrin, and my
Okay.
friend's son, 18 years of age, went on Wellbutrin. 3 days later, he attempted suicide. Boy, he got off that Wellbutrin pretty damn quick. But
Oh
I
yeah.
never knew that it increases your appetite. No one ever told me Wellbutrin increases your appetite.
I'm not saying Wellbutrin itself. I'm saying anxiety and depression medicines. One of the top, usually the top on some. I can tell you some. I won't mention pharmaceutical ones by name, but there are ones.
Well,
There are ones. The number one side effect that they start out with, which I guess then is just like ingredients on a label.
well,
When it's first,
why don't you want to say? You can't get in trouble.
well, Lexapro. All right, Lexapro, which is a mild antidepressant, which is an anxiety medicine. Number one side effect is increased appetite. So now this person that is now
Depressed.
managing their depression, their anxiety, they take it, they wind up eating more ice cream. Remember ice cream? And
Yeah.
then they go back and look in the mirror and they said, "Boy, I just keep getting fatter. This is
So
not
is
helping
it
at
my
all."
Wellbutrin that's making me love the ice cream more?
Right, right, right. Listen, you'd be surprised how many things are connected by God's design in this world, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, so the thing is that so now the person goes back to the doctor and says, "Listen, you know what? I just keep getting fatter. Thanks for the medicine. Now I feel a little bit better inside, but now it doesn't make me feel better on the outside because I look at myself and I've gained weight." And you know what my suggestion is to that? And then now listen, this is not clinical. This is just the way I talk in my book. My book, Logical Approach. My approach would be go back to that doctor, ask them if they could decrease the dosage a little bit so you're managing the depression and the anxiety. You got it down to a more manageable level. Join a gym, maybe do some exercise, do some walking. How about put together a nice diet that's not big on calories, big on fat, big on this? And you know what? When it all comes together,
Yeah.
you'll look in the mirror someday and you'll say, "You know what? The moderation and the logical approach to my overweightness it was always there in my mind. It was
But
always there.
I
We
do
always
want to
had,
say this, though, about what you said. And you did say consult your doctor because I was seeing a
of course.
counselor years ago when I started on the Wellbutrin. And he looked at me and he never swears. He was the father of 11 children. He's no longer alive. And he said, don't F with that drug or it'll F with you.
Mm.
And I remembered him saying that. And then one time I missed a dose and I felt like I was on the wrong planet. I felt like I wanted to escape life. I'm going, what's going on? I feel really weird. And then suddenly I realized I'd missed it.
Mm.
And I said, go quickly and take that and leveled right off. You don't with these antidepressants, do not F with them or they will F with you, according to my friend Jerry. Okay, my late friend Jerry. So I just want to put that in there because, like I said, the number one side effect, like this, my friend's son got on Wellbutrin and 4 days later attempts suicide. So we got to be careful. So if you're going to diminish it, that was wise advice you gave the people here to consult with their doctor. Listen, we got about 3 more minutes left before we
Okay.
say goodbye to Rick Breitweiser today. And you can hear him monthly, and you can catch the different interviews we do on the podcast. But Addiction Logic, it's available everywhere. and started working on this, what, 5 years into your sobriety?
You're real close, Rhett. 4.5 years ago, I started and completed in May. And by the way, I want to say that because I am not a medical professional,
Yeah.
I have a degree in addiction from the state of Georgia, which I can't bring down to another state.
Oh.
And yeah, which I got. But you know what? This book, look at the thickness of what I'm showing you there. And I don't know if I get you see, there's a lot of pages there.
Yeah.
That's 62 pages of research that come from medical professionals like Cleveland Clinic, like John Hopkins, like the Betty Ford Clinic. They're in there. And so when I cite them in the book, I give citation or credit to those things as being factual. Everything else is basically anecdotal or basically my belief in how things work and just the opinion of the author. And I clearly state that. I'm very careful about that,
Sure.
But yes, I really appreciate you having me on here. And I just want to just say that I just checked something this morning before I'm very prepared. I got papers all over the place. I haven't looked at any of them. But anyway, that's being prepared. But you know what I did check this morning?
What?
The number one addiction right now, which includes mental and physical addictions, is social media and smartphones. It surpassed alcohol and smoking already. So this printout that I made of the top 20, you would be surprised if you want to look that up. Food addiction and binge eating is number 4 on the list. It is passed up pot. It is passed up gambling. It is passed up pornography and opiate abuse.
Guilty, because last night I said it's 1:45. Okay, you can go on the internet with your phone, Facebook, whatever, 15 minutes, all right, 20 minutes. Next thing you know, it's 1:45 in the morning. What did you do? These videos and this and that and information addiction. I don't even watch regular movies anymore on Netflix. I go to YouTube.
And you know what, Rhett? That says? That says that you're not addicted to your TV or your smartphone. You're addicted to what that provides you with. It provides you with entertainment, and it satisfies you on a level of entertainment that wasn't around 25 years ago. This had come into reality, and it has really got a hold of a lot of.
You know what? I want to encourage you that you maybe I see a future of another book for Rick Breitweiser on this, because we did a feature on what is it called? It was our magazine. We have a magazine here in Vero Beach, Florida, and called Vero's Voice, and it was a technical addiction or what? Cocaine. What was? Do you remember the cover of the magazine? Cocaine. It's like technical addiction, whatever. It's about that.
Digital cocaine.
Then we had a 2-part series. And they can tell now who opens what emails, how long they spend reading things in our magazine. They can do all this stuff now. The most successful 2 issues we've ever had. So maybe that's an excuse for Rick Breitweiser, to do a book on that, because you're right on, man.
2 quick things. I'm in that magazine already last month, 2 months ago in August. I'm in the August edition. So I'll have you know that I made the magazine a couple months ago. And the other thing is that is as far as that title, oh my God, that is so profound. Digital cocaine. That is, God, why didn't I think about it?
Because a guy from South Africa, a little white guy from South Africa who wrote that.
That is excellent. But I do have a book that's 80% done, and it's called The Proof is in the Pudding, and it's 80% done. I have the cover. I told you that my zany way is that I have the covers done and the title. I pick a title. I hire my cover guy, which you said you loved my cover guy, Kostas Pavlou.
He knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I had to say his name because he's been so good to me. This guy does so much work for me for free because he wants to help me jumpstart my career. But it's Kostas Pavlou, and he's online. And the thing is that the addiction, the book on The Proof is in the Pudding, it coincides with everything I've already written. It's
Cool.
like I'm going to put out a series probably Christmas time where you can get 3 of my books for a real good price, and as a package. If you like my style, you like the way I write, you like the way I speak, it's in the books. I may just give you buy 2, you get 1 free during Christmas.
Well, I think you should take out a half-page ad in Vero's voice.
I
Always,
have an ad in
always
your
be so-
magazine.
I know.
I have
But
an ad.
I'm picturing this big full-page ad now for Christmas.
Jesus.
For Christmas. But we'll talk about it. But listen, in the meantime, pick up a copy of Addiction Logic, order it. Rick Breitweiser, thank you for taking time to be on our broadcast. I know you do this because you're on the give. You give to live, and that's great.
Thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed this time together.
He's a go-getter, and he's a go-giver, and that's what we need in this world. Thank you, Rick. Thank you very much, Rick. Okay.